The massive alien fleet hung in the darkness beyond Proxima Station like a swarm of metallic locusts. Admiral Rex Kane watched through the viewport as the hegemony's warships positioned themselves for what appeared to be humanity's final hour. The station's defensive platforms looked pitiful against the 1,000-strong armada that had emerged from hyperspace 3 hours ago. "Sir, they're demanding our surrender," reported Lieutenant Maya Cross from the communications console. Her voice carried the weight of inevitable defeat. "The hegemony commander says humanity has violated the non-expansion treaty by colonizing the Tau sector." Kane's weathered face showed no emotion. At 63, he had seen enough wars to know when the odds were impossible. The human fleet consisted of barely 200 ships, most of them outdated frigates and cruisers. The alien vessels were sleek predators built for conquest, their hulls gleaming with energy shields that could deflect anything in humanity's arsenal. "What about the colonies?" Kane asked. "Evacuations are ongoing, but we need at least 6 hours to get everyone off-world," Cross replied. "The hegemony won't give us 6 minutes." The alien commander's holographic image flickered to life above the bridge's central console. General Vex, a towering reptilian creature with scales that shifted between green and black, had led the hegemony's expansion for over a century. His species, the Corvani, had conquered 17 different civilizations in the past 50 years. Alone, humans, Vex's translated voice carried contempt. "Your kind has spread too far. The galaxy belongs to those strong enough to claim it. You are not strong enough." Kane stepped forward, his uniform crisped despite the circumstances. "We've followed the treaty terms. These systems were unclaimed when we arrived." "Unclaimed by you, perhaps." Vex's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "But the hegemony claims all star systems as our birthright. Your expansion ends now. Surrender your fleets and submit to hegemony rule, or watch your colonies burn." The connection terminated, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Kane's officers looked to him for orders, but what orders could he give? Fight and die quickly, or surrender and die slowly under alien rule. Neither option would save the 3 million humans scattered across the Tau colonies. "Sir," Cross spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's something else." Deep. Space sensors are picking up a massive hyperspace signature approaching from the Sol direction. ET, approximately 10 minutes. Kane frowned. Earth had no ships to send. The homeworld's fleet was spread thin across a dozen sectors, and none were close enough to reach Proxima in time. "Signal strength?" "That's the strange part, sir. The signature is unlike anything in our database. It's single quotes S. massive. Bigger than anything we've ever built." Through the viewport, the hegemony fleet began moving into attack formation. Their ships gleamed like deadly jewels against the star field, weapons ports glowing with barely contained energy. Kane had seen those weapons tear through human battleships, like they were made of paper. "All ships, prepare for combat," he ordered, knowing it was futile. "We'll buy the colonies as much time as we can." The minutes crawled by as both fleets maneuvered for position. The hegemony ships moved with practiced precision, surrounding the human formation like wolves circling wounded prey. Kane counted the enemy vessels again, hoping he had miscounted. He hadn't. Over 1,000 ships against his ragged fleet. Of survivors. "Hyperspace breach detected," Cross announced suddenly. "Massive energy spike. Whatever's coming is big, sir. Really big." A space near Proxima Station suddenly tore open like fabric being ripped apart. What emerged from the swirling vortex of twisted space-time made everyone on the bridge gasp in shock. A ship unlike anything in recorded history slowly pushed through the hyperspace tier, its bulk dwarfing even the largest hegemony dreadnoughts. The vessel stretched over 50 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull black as the void between stars. Ancient Earth markings covered its surface, symbols that hadn't been used for centuries. Along its flanks, massive weapon ports gaped like hungry mouths, while fighter bays large enough to house entire fleets dotted its superstructure. "Dear God," whispered Cross, staring at her sensors. "Sir, that ship, the registry markings, it's human, pre-colonial era." "But that's impossible." Kane felt something stir in his chest, an emotion he thought he'd lost years ago. Hope. Impossible ship hung in space, like a sleeping giant awakening after a long dream. As if responding to his thoughts, lights began flickering along the massive vessel's hull. Ancient systems coming online after what must have been centuries of dormancy. The galaxy was about to discover why humanity had once been feared among the stars. Asterisk, the bridge of Proxima Station fell silent as every sensor focused on the impossible ship. The massive vessel dwarfed everything in the system, its black hull absorbing starlight like a void in space. Ancient Earth symbols glowed softly. Along its surface, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," Cross reported, her voice tight with disbelief. It's on emergency frequencies that haven't been used in over 3 centuries. The main screen flickered, then cleared to show a figure that made Admiral Kane's blood run cold. The man appeared to be in his 40s, wearing a uniform that belonged in history books. His face bore the sharp features common to Earth's military elite from the old expansion era, and his eyes held the weight of centuries. "This is Captain Marcus Stone of the United Earth ship Defiance," the figure said, his voice carrying an authority that seemed to echo from humanity's forgotten past. "I am detecting hostile alien forces threatening human colonies. All civilian vessels are to withdraw to minimum safe distance immediately." Kane found his voice after a moment of stunned silence. "Captain Stone, this is Admiral Kane of the Colonial Defense Fleet, your ship." The Defiance was lost over 500 years ago. Stone's expression didn't change. "Time flows differently in the deep void, Admiral. I have been waiting." The Defiance was sent beyond the rim to ensure certain capabilities remained dormant until they were needed. It appears that time has come. Through the viewport, the hegemony fleet had stopped their advance, clearly as shocked by the appearance of the massive Earthship as the humans were. General Vex's image appeared again on the communication screen, his reptilian features showing uncertainty for the first time. "What is this vessel?" Vex demanded. "Our records show no human ships of this size or configuration." Stone turned his attention to the alien commander, and Kane saw something dangerous flicker in the ancient captain's eyes. "Your records are incomplete, General. They show only what humanity chose to reveal after we decided to limit our expansion. You see before you a relic from an earlier age, when Earth's children took what they needed from the galaxy." "Impossible," Vex snarled. "Humans are weak. Your species lacks the will for true conquest." A cold smile crossed Stone's face. "We lacked the will for unnecessary conquest, General. There is a difference." The Defiance began moving. It's massive, bulk accelerating with impossible grace for something of its size. As it positioned itself between the human fleet and the hegemony armada, weapon ports along its hull began to glow with energy signatures that made the station's sensors scream warnings. "Sir," Cross whispered, staring at her instruments. "The power readings from that ship, they're off the charts. I'm detecting weapon systems that don't match anything in our databases." Kane watched in fascination as smaller ships began emerging from the Defiance's launch bays. But these weren't the fighters he expected. Each vessel was the size of a frigate, sleek and predatory, moving in perfect formation around their massive carrier like a school of metallic fish. "Those are Raven-class interceptors," Kane breathed, recognizing the ships from historical archives. "They haven't been built for 4 centuries. Built, no, Stone's voice carried across the com channel. "But preserved, maintained, and waiting. The Defiance carries the full complement of Earth's first fleet, Admiral. 30,000 fighters, 500 escort vessels, and weapons that helped humanity carve out an empire spanning half the galaxy." The hegemony fleet began moving again, clearly deciding that even this massive human ship couldn't stand against their overwhelming numbers. Their formation shifted into Attack Pattern Delta, a maneuver designed to overwhelm large targets through concentrated fire from multiple vectors. "Captain Stone," Kane said urgently, "there are over 1,000 enemy ships. Even with your ... capabilities, those odds are impossible." Stone's image turned to face him directly. "Admiral, you've grown up in an age where humanity fights for survival. I come from an age where we fought for dominance. Observe. The Defiances. Main guns fired for the first time in 5 centuries. Beams of pure energy, each one containing enough power to level a city, lanced out across space. But these weren't ordinary weapons. Where they struck the hegemony ships, reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Alien vessels didn't explode so much as simply ceased to exist, their atomic structure unraveling at the quantum level dot in seconds. The alien vanguard simply vanished. The rest of the hegemony fleet stopped dead in space, their commanders no doubt staring in horror at displays showing energy readings that shouldn't be possible. General Vex's image flickered back online, his scaled features showing something Kane had never seen in an alien commander before. Fear. Double quotes. What. What are those weapons? Vex stammered. Stone's smile widened. The reason humanity's expansion stopped wasn't because we lacked the strength to continue, General. It stopped because we realized we had become too strong. Asterisk. The silence that followed the destruction of the hegemony vanguard stretched across space like a held breath. General Vex stared at his tactical displays, watching empty space where 50 of his finest dreadnoughts had existed moments before. The readings made no sense. The ships hadn't exploded or been vaporized. They had simply stopped being. "Retreat," Vex whispered, then louder to his fleet. "All ships withdraw to defensive positions, now." But Captain Stone's voice cut through the communication channels with the authority of ages past. "I'm afraid I cannot permit that, General. Your fleet represents a clear threat to human colonies. That threat must be eliminated." The Defiance began moving forward, its escorts spreading out in formations that hadn't been seen for centuries. Admiral Kane watched from Proxima Station as the ancient supercarrier deployed what appeared to be the naval doctrine of humanity's forgotten empire. "Captain Stone," Kane transmitted urgently, "perhaps we can negotiate. The hegemony might be willing to discuss terms now." Stone's image appeared again on the bridge screen. "Admiral, you think like a man who has spent his life fighting defensive wars, but the Defiance wasn't built for defense. It was built to ensure that when humanity spoke, the galaxy listened." The massive ship's hull began to transform. Armor plates shifted and rearranged themselves, revealing weapon systems that defied current understanding of physics. Arrays of crystalline structures emerged from hidden compartments, pulsing with energy that made space itself shimmer around them. "Sir," Lieutenant Cross reported, her voice shaking, "I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions around the Defiance. It's like they're bending space-time itself." Through the viewport, they watched as reality warped around the ancient Earth ship. Stars seemed to bend their light toward it, and the fabric of space rippled outward in visible waves. The hegemony fleet, despite being hundreds of kilometers away, began to experience gravitational stress as their ships were pulled slightly off course. "Temporal manipulation fields," Stone explained calmly. "We learned early in our expansion that controlling space was only half the equation. Controlling time was the other half. The Defiance fired again, but this time the effect was even more disturbing. The energy beams seemed to arrive at their targets before they were fired, striking 3 hegemony battleships and aging them centuries in seconds. The alien vessels crumbled into cosmic dust, their hulls corroding as if they had been floating. In space for millennia, General Vex's panicked voice filled the communication channels. "This is impossible. No species possesses such technology. The Galactic Council forbids temporal weapons." "The Galactic Council," Stone said with quiet menace, "exists because humanity allowed it to exist. We helped write those laws, General, after we realized what we had become." More of the Defiance's escort ships engaged the enemy fleet. These weren't ordinary fighters, but vessels equipped with technologies that had been deliberately forgotten. Some fired projectiles that phased through enemy shields entirely, appearing inside ship hulls before detonating. Others deployed energy fields that turned enemy weapons against themselves, causing hegemony ships to be destroyed by their own reflected fire. Kane studied the tactical display in growing horror and fascination. The ancient human fleet was systematically dismantling one of the galaxy's most powerful armadas, using weapons and tactics that seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics. "How is this possible?" Kane asked. "Our historical records show humanity's expansion era lasted only 2 centuries. How did we develop such advanced technology?" Stone's expression grew distant. "Because we had to, Admiral. The galaxy was a darker place 5 centuries ago. Species that made the current hegemony look peaceful ruled vast empires. The void devourers consumed entire star systems. The quantum collective enslaved civilizations by rewriting their DNA. Humanity didn't expand into an empty galaxy. We conquered it from monsters." The Defiance's main batteries fired again, this time targeting the largest hegemony dreadnought. But instead of destruction, something far more terrifying occurred. The massive alien ship began to change, its hull reshaping itself into human design patterns. Its weapons turned on the rest of the hegemony fleet as its crew was somehow converted or replaced. "Conversion technology," Stone explained to Kane's horrified stare. "We found that destroying enemy fleets was wasteful. Converting them was more efficient." "Dear God," Kane whispered, "we became the monsters." "Yes," Stone replied simply. "And then we stopped." The Defiance and ships like it were sent into the deep void, not as explorers, but as prisoners. We locked away our own power because we feared what we had become. Around them, the hegemony fleet was collapsing. Some ships fled into hyperspace, others surrendered, and still others were being systematically converted or destroyed by technologies that shouldn't exist. Admiral Kane found himself wondering, if humanity had been capable of this level of power 5 centuries ago, what had finally made them stop? Asterisk, as the last of the hegemony fleet either fled or fell silent, Admiral Kane found himself staring at a tactical display that showed humanity's ancient power in all its terrible glory. 50 converted alien ships now bore Earth markings, there. Crews either eliminated or somehow transformed into human allies. The rest of General Vex's 1,000-strong armada had been reduced to scrap metal and fleeing survivors. "Captain Stone," Kane transmitted, his voice heavy with questions he wasn't sure he wanted answered. "I need to understand what happened. Why did humanity abandon this level of power?" Stone's image flickered on the main screen, but this time, Kane noticed something different in the ancient captain's eyes, a weariness that spoke of centuries of burden. "Admiral, are you familiar with the Kepler incident?" Kane frowned. "Vaguely. Something from the historical records about a failed colony. The details were classified." "Not failed," Stone corrected grimly. "Successful beyond our wildest nightmares." The Defiance moved through the debris field, its massive bulk dwarfing the wreckage of what had once been the galaxy's most feared fleet. As it traveled, smaller ships emerged from its bays to begin salvage operations, their crews working with mechanical precision. Stone continued, his voice taking on the tone of a man recounting a confession. Kepler-Proen was our greatest achievement during the expansion era. We had perfected the conversion technology you just witnessed. An entire world of hostile aliens transformed into loyal human citizens within weeks. Their children grew up speaking Earth languages, worshiping human ideals, believing themselves to be human. Kane felt a chill run down his spine. What went wrong? Nothing went wrong. That was the problem. Stone's image moved to show historical data files, displaying records that had been sealed for centuries. The process worked perfectly. Too perfectly. We could rewrite any species' biology, psychology, even their fundamental nature. We became God's admiral with the power to remake entire civilizations in our image. The files showed world after world, species after species, all bearing the mark of human conversion. Billions of beings transformed, their cultures erased and replaced with human variants. The quantum collective you mentioned, Kane said slowly. They enslaved civilizations by rewriting DNA. How were we different? Stone's smile was bitter. We weren't. We told ourselves we were liberating these species, bringing them the gift of human consciousness. But in truth, we were committing genocide on a galactic scale. Not killing bodies, but killing souls. Entire civilizations ceased to exist, replaced by human-shaped puppets. Lieutenant Cross looked up from her station. Sir, I'm detecting strange readings from the converted hegemony ships. Their crew signatures, they're reading as human now. Kane closed his eyes. The same technology. Yes, Stone confirmed. The crews of those ships now believe they were born on Earth colonies. Their memories have been rewritten, their biology altered. They will serve humanity with absolute loyalty because they genuinely believe they are human. The moral horror of it settled on the bridge like a physical weight. Kane understood now why the historical records were so incomplete. Why? Humanity's expansion had stopped so abruptly. What changed? Kane asked. What made humanity turn back from this path? Stone's expression grew distant, as if seen across centuries. Earth's children began to question what made them human if they could rewrite the definition at will. Philosophers argued that if we could make any being human, then being human meant nothing. Scientists worried we were losing our essential nature in our drive to remake the galaxy. The historical files continued displaying, showing the gradual recall of Earth's fleets, the abandonment of colonies, the sealing away of conversion technology. But the final catalyst, Stone continued, was when we turned the technology on ourselves. Kane's blood ran cold. What do you mean? Political dissidents, criminals, even citizens who questioned the expansion policy. Why imprison or execute them when you could simply rewrite their personalities to be more ... cooperative? We began converting our own species, Admiral. Parents whose children disagreed with policy would find those children mysteriously more obedient after medical checkups. The implications hit Kane like a physical blow. You were turning humanity into a single, unified consciousness. Exactly. We realized we were on the path to becoming something worse than any alien empire we had conquered. A species where individuality itself could be erased at will. So we stopped. The Defiance and ships like it were loaded with volunteers who agreed to exile themselves beyond the galaxy's rim, taking our most dangerous technologies with them. Stone's image looked directly at Kane. We swore an oath that these weapons would only return if humanity faced extinction. Today, you nearly did. Around them, the converted hegemony ships moved in perfect formation, their crews now absolutely loyal to Earth. The price of salvation, Kane realized, was measured in souls. 3 days after the battle. Admiral Kane stood. In the observation deck of Proxima Station, watching the Defiance float silently against the stars. The ancient supercarrier had positioned itself between the human colonies and the edge of known space, a guardian waiting for threats that might never come. Around it, the converted hegemony ships maintained their patrol patterns with mechanical precision. Captain Stone's holographic form materialized beside him. The evacuation transports have returned to the colonies. Your people are safe, Admiral. Kane nodded, but didn't turn from the viewport. At what cost? Those hegemony crews, they have families somewhere. Children who will never see their parents. Again, because those parents now believe they're human colonists from worlds that don't exist. The alternative was the extinction of your colonies, Stone replied quietly. Sometimes the choices we face have no good answers. Is that how you justified it 500 years ago? Stone was silent for a long moment, every day, until we realized that justification itself had become the problem. Behind them, the station's communication center buzzed with activity. Word of the battle was spreading across human space and beyond. The Galactic Council had already sent 3 separate diplomatic missions, requesting information about humanity's new capabilities. Other alien powers were either offering immediate peace treaties or quietly reinforcing their borders. The galaxy knows now, Kane said. They know what humanity is capable of. What happens next? Stone's expression grew thoughtful. That depends on your people, Admiral. The Defiance can return to the void, taking these technologies back into exile, or we can remain, ensuring that no threat ever endangers human space again. Kane turned to face the ancient captain. And convert anyone who opposes us, if necessary. The simple admission hung in the air between them. Kane had spent sleepless nights since the battle wrestling with the moral implications. The converted hegemony crews were happy, productive members of human society now. They showed no signs of distress or artificial behavior. In many ways, they were better off than they had been under the brutal hegemony system, but they were no longer themselves. There's a third option, Kane said slowly. We keep the defensive capabilities, but destroy the conversion technology. Use your weapons to protect humanity without rewriting the souls of our enemies. Stone shook his head. Impossible. The technologies are integrated. You cannot have one without the other. The power to rewrite matter at the quantum level is what makes our weapons so effective. That same power can rewrite consciousness. Lieutenant Cross entered the observation deck, carrying a datapad with the latest reports. Admiral, we've received responses from all the major powers. The Stellar Alliance is offering a formal non-aggression pact. The Trade Federation wants to discuss exclusive economic partnerships. And the hegemony. She paused. What's left of their government is requesting immediate surrender negotiations. Kane took the pad and scrolled through the messages. Fear, respect, and opportunism filled every line. The galaxy had seen humanity's true power and was reacting accordingly. They're afraid, Kane observed. As they should be, Stone replied. Fear brings peace, Admiral. For 5 centuries, humanity has lived in fear of stronger powers. Now the galaxy fears humanity. Which situation do you prefer? Before Kane could answer, another figure entered the observation deck. Commander Lisa Park from Earth Command had arrived on the morning transport, carrying sealed orders from the Colonial Council. Admiral Kane, Park said formally, and turned to Stone. Captain. Stone, I bring instructions from Earth regarding the Defiance and its ... capabilities. Stone's hologram straightened slightly. And? Park opened her datapad and read from the official statement. The Colonial Council has voted to accept the Defiance's protection with conditions. The conversion technology is to be sealed and used, only under extreme circumstances requiring a 2/3 council vote. The Defiance will serve as humanity's guardian, but not its sword of conquest. Kane felt something ease in his chest. A middle path. Perhaps, Stone said thoughtfully, though I wonder if such restraint can be maintained when faced with true threats. Through the viewport, one of the converted hegemony ships passed by, its crew performing their duties with perfect efficiency. Former enemies who now genuinely believed they were protecting human colonies they had never seen. The galaxy has changed, Kane said finally. Humanity is no longer the underdog fighting for survival. We're a power that others must consider carefully. The question is what kind of power we choose to be. Stone's image began to fade as he returned to his ship. The Defiance will watch and wait, Admiral. And when the next threat comes, we will be ready to make the hard choices your people cannot make themselves. As the ancient captain's hologram disappeared, Kane realized that humanity had reclaimed its place among the galaxy's great powers. But the true test would be whether they could wield that power without losing their souls in the process. The galaxy had indeed begun to shake, and humanity would determine whether that trembling came from fear or hope. The end asterisk.